What can we do to help these children, your children, become more physically active at home? So I listed 6 things that I'm going to kind of go over here step by step that I think are kind of the hallmarks of how you would create this home-based program. So I think hopefully you'll find these things helpful as you try to do these things. Some of them may be things that you say, yeah, this is perfect in my situation. Other things you may say, you know, that's just not doable. And that's fine, So tip number 1, I think it's important to be flexible in your program. Now I'm going to talk later on about creating a schedule, but even within that schedule, some flexibility. So talking to your child and find out what types of activities he or she likes to do. You know, maybe aerobics, maybe stretching, the time of day. Is it a morning, afternoon, or evening? You know your child better than anybody else. What time is best to be physically active? What time do you really think mindfulness would be great? For example, if there's a time you want your child to sit and really concentrate, whether it's reading or at a meal time, perhaps physical activity just before that is a good time to get the child all energized, and then a calming activity, and then that prepares them for this next bout. Another interesting thing that the research is showing is that you don't have to do 30 or 45 minutes of activity. Small bouts of 5 to 10 minutes of activity can be just as effective in these positive effects on children with autism. The intensity of the activity certainly can vary, and this could be done throughout the day. I went for a walk with my dog earlier today, and my dog did not want to walk fast, so we did a very, very slow walk, and he got to sniff and just kind of play around. And then later I went for a faster walk so I could get some exercise. So, you know, that's something to find out and see how your child's feeling. Maybe he's up for a fast walk or a jog, or maybe just a slow walk is fine. And the last thing is deciding whether or not your child wants to participate alone, just watching a yoga video or an exercise video and doing it on his own, or perhaps he would like to participate with you or a sibling. All those things are fine. Again, it's the idea of being flexible and making this situation work best. Okay. Tip number 2, make it fun. So on my walk today, I had my earphones on and I was listening to music from the 70s because that's when I was growing up, and I love music from the 70s, and that made it more fun for me. Just walking without listening to music would not have been as fun, and so I enjoyed that. And so again, think of things you can do to make it fun for you and your child when you're exercising here. I have here just videos I think are great, so I'm just going to pop up a quick example of a video.
Up next, back turns in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! 1, 2, 3, 4.
So this is just a good example of something that your child may like doing. And it may be something that makes it more fun. You know, again, children like that screen time, children on the spectrum. And so perhaps watching a video would really capture their attention. I mentioned me walking and listening to music, which is more fun for me. Doing a routine to fun music. Let your child choose whether they like country music or contemporary music, or me like oldies, that type of thing. It makes it more fun to be active and exercise. And then, you know, playing with your dog, playing with a sibling, playing in the backyard outside. Those are all fun things. So what can I do to make the activity more fun? I think that's an important tip. Tip number 3. Now, again, I said it's important to be flexible, but I think it's also important within that flexibility to choose and schedule physical activity. So for example, if you and your son or you and your daughter decide that you really want to do some yoga and mindfulness activities, then build that into the routine. You know, we're going to get up in the morning, we're going to have breakfast, we're going to watch some TV, and then at 10:30, we're going to do 15 minutes of a yoga video. Okay, and just you build it in, and if you use a visual schedule like one presented here, just build in, you know, mindfulness is what we're going to do. If you really want to get some physical activity and your son or daughter is really not into physical activity, adding a reinforcer, you know, we're going to complete this physical activity, and then we can choose a healthy snack, or you can watch another video that you enjoy doing. So those are all different options. But again, think of how you can schedule this physical activity so your son or daughter knows this is going to be part of the day and they won't be surprised by it. Tip number 4, providing choices and levels. So one of the things I think is really important, and I have my students do that when they teach it, is giving choices. We're going to warm up today. Would you like to walk around the playground? Would you like to jog around the playground? Would you like just to do some jumping jacks? You know, we got to do some type of a cardio to warm up. What would you like to do today? And then my student will put that on the schedule so the child could see it. So I think choices are really important. So here's just a couple of examples. You know, we're going to do a calming activity just before we go to bed tonight. So from 9 to 9:15, what would you like to do for this calming activity? Here are some choices. We can do yoga videos, we can do relaxation videos, or we can do a calming activity at home. So what would you like to do? Same thing for cardio. So I think choices are really important. And then also within the choices, levels, you know, so would you like to be really intense today? Would you like it to be a little bit more moderate? Would you like, you know, I'm kind of tired. We want to do it slowly today. Those are all fine. So choices and then levels within those choices, I think, are all really good tips. Tip number 5, setting goals and having a clear ending. One of the things we find when my students and I work with children with ASD is that if we just say we're going to go down to the gym and we're going to do something for 30 minutes, that's very stressful. Versus saying, here's your schedule. We're going to do warm-ups for 5 minutes. We're going to do the next activity for 10 minutes and the next and so forth. So having some clear numbers seems to really help the children focus and stay calm and not get too anxious. So again, here's some examples. We're going to go for a 15-minute walk. We're going to do 2 active videos today. Or I may set up an exercise routine, and I've listed some of the things here. We're going to do 10 jumping jacks, 10 modified push-ups, and you can see down the list. And then we're going to rest for 1 minute, and then we're going to repeat this 3 more times, and then we're going to be finished. So that helps the child really know what the end is and the goals of what we're going to do today. We do a lot of visuals. So here's just an example. You can say, okay, we're going to do 10 push-ups. That's on the top one. And when that's done, we're going to put that in the complete bin. And then we're going to do jumping jacks, 10 jumping jacks. We're going to put that in the complete bin. And we just go right down this list. And when everything's done, we know that now it's time to take a break, and we put it back up there. And we do this 3 times or 4 times, and then we're done. So I think having this clear schedule, I think really helps in these kind of targets here. And the last tip is, whenever possible, I really encourage you to participate with your son or daughter, or if there's a sibling who can participate, I think that's fine. But again, going back to the fun part of it, I think that can make it more fun and interesting for the child, seeing mom and dad doing the exercises with the child. Even if you can't do them well, I think that's fun. One of my daughters played volleyball in high school and college, and in the summer I would work out with her, and she had this list of activities that her coach told her to do, and I would work out with her, and she laughed at me as I tried to do these different activities. But it made it more fun for her to do that. So again, don't feel like you have to be perfect. Just doing it, I think the children will really enjoy that. So let's think about some specific home physical activities that may be helpful here. So I've kind of thought of some that might be outside and some that might be good for inside. Okay, so first of all, I think active videos, again, thinking about children on the spectrum and how much they enjoy watching TV and playing video games, I think these types of things can be really good. So I think, and I have a handout that you'll be sent or will be posted, and they have lots of different videos. If you just go to YouTube and put down exercises for children or yoga for children, you'll come up with hundreds and hundreds of really good videos. Here's just one that I found recently that I really like. This is, if you have an older son or daughter or a young adult, this is by Special Olympics. They call this the strength program here. And it's a nice thing. It's modeled after the WWE, so the World Wrestling Federation, but still I think there's some nice things here. So I'm just gonna pop up and fast forward a little bit here for you.
No matter what your size, one thing all athletes need to succeed is and go down. 1, down, 2, down, 3, down, 4, down, 5, down, 6, down, 7, 5. Now, if you're ready to take it even up another notch, we're going to see what Angel's up to over here. But if not, and you want to keep things how it's going, don't worry. Stay on that chair or stay on that wall. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
The more you do, the
So what I like about that video is a couple things. There's music in the background. The leader is very motivating. You see people doing the exercises. The other thing I really liked about that is that you saw they had different levels. So level 1 would be a simple push-up on a chair. Even doing a wall push-up is a good starting level. And then you can have the modified push-ups on your knee. And then you saw the young lady there doing regular push-ups. So here's another way for you to say to your son or daughter, let's work on some upper body strength. Here's some different ways we can do that. And again, it's all laid out really nicely on that video. Again, this is called School of Strength, and you can find this through Special Olympics or on YouTube, and it's free. And all the videos I pulled up that I sent you are free here. So some other little things we can do: going outside, tossing a frisbee or a ball back and forth. An obstacle course, you know, outside it could be run around the tree, roll around the grass, pick up a ball and throw it up in the air 5 times. You can have lots of things. Going for a walk, a bike ride, or a jog. Walking the dog is more fun than walking by yourself, except my dog likes to stop and smell every blade of grass. But still, it's fun walking with the dog rather than me walking by myself. So those are just some simple outdoor activities. Indoor, you know, we have exercise routines similar to the one I showed you here. You have push-ups, you have jumping jacks, you have different activities that you can do. An indoor obstacle course, I thought about looking at my house here, you know, crawling under the kitchen table, lying on the carpet and going for a roll, walking up the stairs, walking down the stairs, walking backwards from the living room to the kitchen. You can create some fun little things. You can put little pieces of paper down, jump and hop on the pieces of newspaper or jump over the pieces of newspaper. So I think, you know, depending on your son or daughter, they may enjoy setting up their own little routine and really watching you go through the obstacle course as well. And then the last thing I listed here was some challenges with equipment. And I have, again, this is going to be in one of the handouts you have, but I have a couple examples here. So here you get a piece of rope or a piece of string. If you have some yarn in the house, you just lay it down and you just have lots of things you can ask your son or daughter to do. In some cases, if your son or daughter can read, they can read it themselves. But here's just a couple things here. Can you move around your rope? Show me different ways: galloping, jumping, hopping. Move slowly around your rope, or fast, or to medium speed. At a low level or high level jumping, going backwards and sideways. Lots of different things. Walking on the rope, balancing on one foot, walking like it's a high wire. So you can see some of the different things we have here. So very simple, a list of things that you can have your son or daughter do. You can kind of read it and you can do it along with him or her. And I think it can be a really fun way to use some time and make it some fun activities here. And then you can come up with some of your own. Here's one I also created for just a paper ball. Get a piece of computer paper or newspaper, crump it up into a ball. Again, there's things you can do on the floor, just throwing and catching, jumping over, things like that. Then you can do some tossing, clap your hands 1 time, toss it higher, clap 2 times. Lots of different things you can do with the ball, higher, lower. I talked about here down, facing the wall, doing some throwing. You can go get a large ball from the kitchen and try to toss it into the bowl. How many times can you toss it in the bowl? Lots of different things like that. So there's lots of different things you can do with a ball. I have beanbag here listed as well several times, but with the ball, I think a paper ball is a great home activity. So those are some physical activities. And then the other piece is the stress reducing activities. So I think yoga and mindfulness and calming activities are really, really important for children with ASD. And there are lots of great videos that you can find. So here's just one video. And again, if you go and you look at YouTube and just type in yoga for children, you'll see lots of different videos. What I like about YouTube is, and you'll see some of these here, is if your son or daughter likes animals, this first video really focuses on animals. So that'd be great. If there's something like race cars or other things that your son or daughter has a real strong affinity to, see if there's some videos that capture that. I think those are great. So here's a quick one on using some animals.
It seems like these kids are lost in the forest. Let's ask them what's happening. Hey guys, are you lost? You guys look really scared. Do you need help? Oh, look who is over there, our friend, Zen the cat. Maybe he can help calm you down.
Hi friends, what's happening? Did you guys get lost? I always do the following pose to make myself feel better. Would you join me? Get on your hands and knees on the ground. Breathe deeply through your nose, and when you exhale, round your back, lowering your chin to your chest. At the same time, press your hands to the ground, rest, and repeat again, at least 5 times.
How lucky that we found Zen the cat. Do you guys feel better? I see Yogi the dog.
So again, I think that's a nice little activity. Again, if your child loves animals, what a great video for that. Calming activities is something else. My wife is a special education teacher, and I know she talks about when a child, she has the green and the yellow and the red levels. And when a child is reaching that yellow level and starts to get a little bit agitated, she says, go to the calm corner and do a series of activities. So here's an example of a calm corner type of a thing. So kind of a routine you can do. So you go to the corner or you go wherever you go and you squeeze a ball, and you do that for a count of 20 seconds with the right hand, 20 with the left hand. Breathe through your nose, blow out with your mouth. I like the cues: smell the flower, blow out the candle, repeat that 10 times. Move your arms slowly over your head, down slowly, repeat that 10 times. You can see there's lots of different activities here that you can create a calming kind of a routine for things for the child to do. The other thing here was another nice kind of a meditative video that I'm gonna put in here real quick.
Jergens energizing citrus body butter, like a tube of, oh yeah.
Fly with Abel and Phi. Body scan meditation. Sit in a comfortable position and bring attention to your body. Close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. You can notice your body seated wherever you are, feeling the weight of your body on the chair or on the floor. Take a few deep breaths. Breathe in through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out through your mouth. 4.
Again, I like that video, and it's only 3 minutes, and then it goes and asks you to concentrate on your neck, concentrate on your shoulders, on your arms, and just to feel the tension and relax. So those are some nice meditative types of things. Well, just calming music you can get to listen to, I think are great as well. So these are some other kind of stress reducing activities. These are certainly great when you know stress is going to start building up. So if it's meal times are stressful, these probably are good to do before mealtime. Before bedtime, it's another good place to do these calming activities. So again, you know your son and you know your daughter and you know the routines better than I do. Find a time that it's best to do these activities. So here we go. So just a quick summary here. So again, I am just as strong as an advocate as I can be about physical activity and calming activities. They're so important for everybody. For children on the spectrum, I think they're probably even more important. There's so many positive benefits. And if they're home now because of this pandemic, even more important. Again, these activities can reduce stress, prevent behaviors, promote healthy habits, and they could just be a fun activity for the child to get their mind off of some of these other things. I presented 6 tips. I think if you follow most of these tips, you can create a very effective program that will work for your son or daughter. And again, how exactly you put this together is going to be unique to your situation. If you live in a house with a yard, that's different than if you live in an apartment. If your neighborhood is very walkable, and that's going to be different than someone whose neighborhood isn't. But think about what's going to be best for your unique situation here. Good, thank you. And I'm ready to answer any questions you might have for me.
Thanks, Marty, for that great presentation. If you guys don't mind, you can go ahead and chat questions in this chat box on the side. And right now, I'd also invite you to share in the chat any ideas you have about getting your children or yourself moving, things that maybe you found successful that I can read aloud to the group and share with others. As you were sharing, Marty, I was thinking that in my neighborhood, one thing that everyone's been doing is creating a safari walk for kids, because we see our neighbors multiple times a day with their dogs, with their kids, going out for another walk, And so a lot of our neighbors had started putting stuffed animals in their windows, and the kids will go through the neighborhood with little notebooks and write down the stuffed animals that they see. So I think in this time of getting to know your neighbors and getting out and getting fresh air, that was a really cool thing that I see people start to do for their kids. So if you guys have ideas of things that are going on in your neighborhood too, we would love to hear them.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Let's see. So a question coming in. My child has some motor coordination difficulties. Can you recommend any exercises that she may be able to master and feel successful at doing?
Okay, that's a really good question. Many children on the autism spectrum have some motor planning and motor coordination problems. So again, I like the idea of levels. So if we're doing something with a paper ball, throwing the ball at a small target could be very challenging, but say throwing the ball over the kitchen table is much easier. Or throw the ball and hit the wall. You really can't miss the wall. So I think, making sure that when you do things with targets, you don't have small targets. Underhand tossing, again, if you have a small little bucket, that's going to be very challenging. But if you just toss it to try to hit the kitchen table, that's going to be much more doable. So again, I think thinking things like that, you need to be careful. Jumping jacks can be done in kind of stop motion, up and then stop and then down, rather than trying to do the fluid motion. Even things like jumping rope, I've seen where we put the rope on the floor and the child jumps over the rope as opposed to trying to do the whole motion. So that's a really good question. And we do a lot of that, trying to make it a little easier for the child to be successful.
That's great. Yeah. Another question that I have coming in here is, my child has never liked exercising. Is there something small that I can do to get him started?
Yeah, so that's another terrific question. I am a real big fan of these videos. I think that can get the child to kind of copy the videos. That's enjoyable. I also am a fan of a slow progression. So if your son or daughter loves watching SpongeBob, and that's a real powerful reinforcer, then I would say, okay, we're going to go outside and we're going to walk for 1 minute, or we're going to be on the floor and we're going to do some yoga poses for 1 minute. And then we get to watch SpongeBob. And then, then it's going to be 2 minutes, and then we get to watch SpongeBob, and you gradually get to increase this. I have a friend who has a son with autism who goes down and rides a stationary bike for 50 minutes a day. And that started with 1 minute. That's all we want you to do is 1 minute. And then that became 2 minutes and 3 minutes. And the funny thing, what's challenging for them now, is that he has to ride for 50 minutes. Because if it's 49 minutes and mom says it's time to go to school, it's like, nope, I got to ride for 50 minutes. So, but yeah, start small, 1 minute, and then, to get the reinforcer, and then you can make it larger after that.
Yeah, that's great advice for adults too.
Yeah.
One thing that made me think of when talking about the younger kids, one thing that I've seen is my 4-year-old loves animals. And so we've done things before where we've cut out little animal posters and then set them up around the room in a circle. And so it'll say like, hop like a frog, and we'll set a little timer that will ding after 30 seconds or something. So it's one of those workouts that they can do with very little equipment, hopping like a frog, slithering like a snake. doing a crab walk, running like a bear, things like that. And so I think those visual cues can be good, especially for the younger learners too.
That's a great idea. And I'm a huge fan of taking advantage of a child's affinities, you know. So again, if a child loves cars, what a great idea to go for a walk and let's identify, look, there's a Buick, there's a Volkswagen, but we're outside. So exercise becomes secondary to doing something the child really enjoys doing, you know. So I think that's again, I'm someone who, I don't actually like going for walks. I like listening to music from the 70s. So I put my earphones on to listen to music, and I happen to be walking as I'm doing that.
Yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
One question I see coming in here, one of my children has physical limitations, but wants to participate with his brother and sister when they're playing games outside. So could you offer some ideas of games that they can all play together with modifications so that everyone feels included?
That's a challenge. It's a good question. We run in that when we try to include children with disabilities in physical education, and that's a similar type of a thing. So, you know, off the top of my head, I'm thinking of activities that require throwing. Again, if I have difficulty throwing very far, then my siblings will get closer to me, so I can toss it much shorter, but I can still participate. And then they can throw the balls back and forth farther to each other. Same thing with kicking a ball. If I need to sit in my chair, I can hold the ball in my hand and roll it. Or if I can't kick it very far, my sibling will be closer to me. So things we think about that we modify a lot is distance, making things closer. If a child can't throw as far, kick as far, we modify the size of the ball. You know, a larger ball is easier to catch. A balloon is easier to catch. So if you have multiple pieces of equipment, you know, balloons you can get at the dollar store, they float. Scarves you can get at the dollar store, they float. So that slows things down. So the size of equipment, the weight of the equipment, the distances, those are all things that you can manipulate for one child who has some physical challenges, but then the other children can use regular equipment and still kind of all have fun in the same activity.
That's great. One of our participants wants to know if there are things that she can things that she can do with her daughter, including dance, that are not with preschool songs.
Ooh, yeah, that's a great question. So I'm not a great dance person. I know I have some colleagues who do like Zumba videos and things like that. I would say have your daughter choose music that she really likes. And then I would say, let's make up a routine that you really like. You know, it could be something simple, you know, something like left foot, left foot, left foot, right foot, right foot, right foot, arm up, arm up, arm up, arm up, arm up. So, you know, she can make her own routine, or you can make a really simple kind of a routine, but, you know, use the music that she enjoys. And again, I think you probably can find some stuff online that, again, on YouTube, that might have some dance for teens that might be good for her as well. I know there's like the electric slide and some of those things that are good too. Again, I don't know those, but I know they're out there.
That's great. Yeah. It sounds like a lot about, you know, making it fun and making it more of a game than rigorous exercise.
Yeah. I'm just thinking off the top of my head here, if I want to do, like, if I love country music, some type of a line little dance, you know, a country line dance, how much fun would it be to make up your own dance and then have mom and dad do it with you? So I think that would be kind of a cool thing too.
Yeah, one of our participants says, I like to gamify my exercise. I've been getting my fix by playing a game for the Nintendo Switch called Ring Fit Adventure. It's like a virtual obstacle course combined with an adventure game where you fight evil monsters by doing different exercises. That sounds awesome.
Wow, what a great idea. That's a great idea. I don't even know they still sell the Wii anymore. You know, they had Wii tennis and Wii boxing, and those are all good things too if that. But I love that game. That sounds great.
Yeah, that was a great system.
Yeah.
Another suggestion we have from our participant, for the older students that she works with, she has them track distance with an app and then try to beat it the next time. And I know a lot of smartphones already have that capability and functionality built in. And there's a lot of things that you can do outside, like scavenger hunts and geocaching. Are you familiar with that?
I'm not familiar with geocaching. I want to know what that is.
Stacy, if you have more information on geocaching, please share it with us. From my understanding, it's you get the coordinates to different things that people put in little spots around outside. And so you can find the coordinates to a certain spot and look under a rock or something and find things that people have. It's pretty cool. It's an online treasure hunt.
Oh, I love that. That's a great
Cool.
idea.
Yeah, there's a little box and something in it, and you can sign your name that you found it and the date.
Wow.
Oh, that's really cool, and see a list.
They're all over they're all over the world.
Oh, wow.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
It reminds me, another thing that I saw recently on a neighborhood walk with my children is somebody had left out a paper that just said, write down one thing you're grateful for today. And then everyone wrote something, with a pen, and everyone kind of wrote something and then signed their name. So it was just a cool thing to see, people all walking past the same spot to do.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. I was thinking of a scavenger hunt. Another simple outdoor activity to get your son or daughter outside would be like colors. Like I spot something red, whatever that little beam is, and you have to find red and blue and things like that when you walk around the neighborhood. Again, that gets you physically active, but it's more about finding the colors.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we know a lot of parents are working from home and trying to get their kids to do their schoolwork and a lot of things at the same time. So do you have any ideas for kids exercise or activities that require little or no adult help or supervision?
Yeah. So I think the videos that I just showed are really, really simple. And I think they can be done by the child, by him or herself. The beauty of, I think, the videos is you don't, like, for example, the yoga one where you had to do the cat pose. You don't have to do it perfectly, but I think your son or daughter can do it by themselves and can, try to imitate as best they can. There's no one looking at the child saying you're doing it wrong. And they're just doing the best they can. So I think a lot of those videos are really great to, and again, I hate to say put your son or daughter in front of the TV, but again, it's just a great way for them to be independent by doing some of these activities. I think that routine I also showed you too, is if they could check off some of those routines. Again, pictures I think are really good, and maybe they can follow the picture, some type of a counter, so that they do 10 and they tear off the number 10, they do 9 and they tear off 9. That would help them be more independent. But I'm a big fan of the videos. I think that's the best way.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
One participant says, my son has ADHD and I find that he concentrates better after going for a walk outside, but the effect seems to wear off quickly. Can you talk more about the research indicating that physical activity helps increase attention?
So I'm not super familiar with all the detailed research about that. I agree that it's kind of the therapeutic effects probably wear off fairly quickly. And again, it's going to vary from child to child, whether it lasts for 10 minutes or a half hour or an hour. I mean, the research shows that it does seem to have a calming and an attentive effect, which is positive. There's actually a school out of Japan for kids with autism, and they brought it to Massachusetts, and they have children, I want to say it's every 20 minutes they're inside sitting down, they go outside for 10 minutes to be physically active, and they're back inside for 20 minutes. And so it may be for your son or daughter that that's what they need, is they need to be active for 10 or 15 minutes, or maybe 5 minutes is enough of a dose. And then they get back into their attention. So if you see the attention waning, it's like, okay, let's be physically active again. It's challenging, but that may be kind of that therapeutic effect. I know going to some of the schools where I work and when I supervise students, oftentimes children do go out in the hallway and do some running or something, and then they go back into the classroom. And so it may be multiple times during the day. And that may be what has to happen with your son or daughter.
Yeah, I think as adults, we think about exercise or meditation or any other healthy activity we're trying to do has to take place in one big chunk, Yeah,
I know. And smaller chunks, that's clear with the research that, 5 to 10 minute bouts is just as effective as these longer bouts, and maybe even more effective for this population.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Another question that's coming in says, are there guidelines, exercise guidelines for children? Is it safe for my 10-year-old to lift weights with me? Or should they be doing more body weight focused exercise? Or
Good question. So I think that there are guidelines, and I don't think lifting weights is going to be a problem. I am a fan of body weight types of activities. I think that's probably better, but no, I think a 10-year-old certainly can start lifting weights. So again, it would be very light weights, I would say, and really focus on the technique But you know, the Special Olympics video I showed you, they were doing a lot of things, push-ups, different types of abdominal activities that don't really need weights. But if you enjoy lifting weights and you think your son or daughter would enjoy that, I would say go ahead and do that. Just again, light weights, and make sure the technique is matching the appropriate technique for that.
That's great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all the Q&A from everybody. And if you guys do have other ideas or questions, you can go ahead and share them in the chat, and we will try to get them with our follow-up materials. Thanks again.
Good. Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, and I too want to thank Marty and Moira for their help with this live event, and remind everybody to go to autismdrive.virginia.edu, and all of the resources that Marty has mentioned will be on there. And also he had 3 handouts that I sent by email. If you didn't get them, please contact me at star-autism@virginia.edu. So thank you again, and hope to see you next week's event. Bye-bye.
Bye.